Hi, Ben. Welcome to MovieJunk. How are you?
Hey, how are you doing? All the best from Berlin.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. We have Ben Bela Bohm joining us live from Berlin, Germany. Who fans of the AMC hit show Better Call Saul know you as Kai. Can't thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And we were first introduced to Kai in season 4 of Better Call Saul. You're a part of Werner Ziegler's team that ends up building the super lab, which we later see in Breaking Bad. This might be a dumb question, but were you a fan of Breaking Bad prior to joining Better Call Saul?
Oh yeah, I always loved it. So I was really super happy to be a part of it, a small part for 2 seasons. Enjoyed it a lot, and right now I'm watching every episode to see how the authors are gonna end it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, it's been a an amazing ride and a slow burn, and definitely Breaking Bad is regarded as one of the greatest shows of all time, and Better Call Saul is right up there and has done Breaking Bad so much justice. Now, I know a lot of the process that kind of goes into the behind the scenes is kind of a secret, and I'd love to hear kind of what the audition process was like, and how did you find yourself in the role of Better Call Saul?
Just a regular Hollywood audition. I just had started acting again after a few years where I took a break, and yeah, um, Russell Scott cast me, and then things happened pretty quickly. But that's already like 3 years ago. So, do you want to talk about what the show is like right now?
I'd love to, absolutely. Yeah. What's it going like now? And as far as what are you most excited about this season?
Well, to see if there's going to be a happy ending between Kimmy and Jimmy. Yeah. Also happy that I didn't end up in the super lab, but bleep, spoilers, bleep from last week's episode. So that was fun.
Yeah, and definitely too. When we saw, Lalo make his way to Germany, he sees Werner Ziegler's wife. He goes in and he sees Casper. And I was thinking that maybe we were going to bump into your character in Germany as well too. What do you think happened to Casper? Do you think Lalo spared him, or do you think he put him out of his misery?
Oh no, we all got spared. Only Casper deserved to die. Um, I was excited myself whether they would bring us back. We hadn't filmed for that season yet, but you never know. So that was exciting, the callback and everything. Also, how they continue to find properties in Albuquerque that look like Germany, which is awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and so that was all shot in Albuquerque. There was no scenes that went back to Germany. How that was all locally shot.
Yeah. As far as I know from the few people I know on staff on the crew still, yes.
Yeah, and as far as with your character, I mean, we see you first in season 4, and you had a few scenes with Jonathan Banks, who we know as Mike Ehrmantraut. Your character was a little bit of a rebel, right? And then you could have easily been killed over here before you made it back to Germany. And also that scene in the first episode of season 5 where you make a comment and Mike, he gives you a little bit shot to the face. What do you think happened to actually prior to that? What was it like working with Jonathan Banks, who we know from movies like Beverly Hills Cop and obviously Mike from Breaking Bad?
He's awesome, and it was so long deserved because he had all these parts for so many decades. And first time I saw him, I think it was in Flipper, the Dolphin TV series, or in Gremlins or something. And yeah, to be able to act with him was awesome. Also that he finally got this decade-long lead on the show was awesome. That's really amazing. He's a real, yeah, doll face. And my part is a pain in the ass for him. Feel bad, obliged. And I usually get cast as pain in the ass, con man, or hero. One of those three. Hero mostly when it's my original language in Germany. But I'm waiting for the next great immigrant series like Heroes, where they need a lot of different accents.
Well, also too, being that you were a fan of Breaking Bad prior to joining Better Call Saul, was there any added pressure, joining the show? Like, was there any pressure into, wanting to succeed, or was it just business as usual?
Oh God, I hadn't acted in like 3 years, I think. So it was a bit nerve wracking, but I was also really excited about being there and seeing that it's just, as always, like the regular progress, and you have to finish, I don't know, 2 to 5 minutes a day of material, and it's just work, you know. But they're all really lovely. It's a wonderful family that Vince and Peter had brought together, and also how they made everyone stay, how they gave them more and more opportunities, starting as a writer's assistant, became then an author, then a producer, then a director, like Gordon Smith, for instance.
Yeah.
Or Trina Siopi, the props assistant starting off. Now she works as a producer on the show. So it was just like this wonderful family where everybody stuck together and helped each other out. And it's a wonderful experience because it's not always like that in television. So,
do you watch Breaking Bad differently now, knowing that every time they're in the super lab, you had a part of that? That you were one of the reasons why that lab even exists? Do you watch it differently now, or?
I think we all do, right?
Yeah.
Seeing that Patrick Fabian's part got Schlag mich tot, and Lalo are buried underneath there. Yeah, of course. I mean, now we know who possessed the soul of the fly in that one episode, and yeah, it's awesome. Right?
Yeah, and your character, really, stole a lot of the scenes, because you were a little bit of a rebel, and then also that scene with the dynamite with Werner, where you stepped in, and we really saw the value that your character possessed. It was kind of like a redeeming scene as well too. But we also just saw a very intense scene with Kimmy and Jimmy breaking up, and we get that time jump into Breaking Bad. Do you think we're going to get a chance to see these characters unite, or as a fan, what are you hoping to see in the last few episodes?
Of course, I want them to reunite, but who? What the fuck do I know? I hope they'll go back to Germany and show all about Kai the next 4 episodes.
Yeah.
No, I'm really excited about them, and yeah, can't wait. Tonight is, I think, the next episode coming out over there, and tomorrow here in Europe we'll see it on Netflix the day after. So I'll be excited.
Yeah. I mean, it's just tough. I'm really hoping that this isn't the end of it, and we can get potential spinoffs as well. I know the Gus one is one that's kind of been flirted with as a potential opportunity, or even more in Germany. Maybe we can get some more Kai spinoffs.
Well, definitely. Follow my Instagram, Ben the German Dude. I did a 50 seconds reprise meeting Lalo, which it was just fucking with the audience after I was so excited to seeing him return to Germany in episode 5. I would love to see more productions made in Albuquerque, not necessarily from that universe, but the crew and the team and the now it's called Netflix Studios, the Q Studios, because they were bought by Netflix. So I'm excited what will come out of it and what the people will work on next, and I hope I will be there again soon.
Absolutely, we're rooting as fans as well, and I know as fans, we want to see some poetic justice for Gene. What do you think a happy ending would be for someone like Gene, who was previously Saul Goodman? What would be a happy ending for him?
Sorry, I like to be surprised. I don't even try to make up my mind on what would be wonderful and what wouldn't, because then I would be disappointed. If it's not exactly the way I imagined it to be. I'm not even going there. What do you think?
I think personally, I think Gene's going to get busted. I think somehow, some way, Gene's going to get busted. I'm trying to think. Most of these iconic characters have ended up under the ground. I don't know if anyone really got arrested, right? So maybe it is Gene that is the one that gets arrested, and maybe Kimmy's the one that ends up, bailing him out, or potentially, bailing him out or seeing him in prison. That would be a pretty iconic scene, seeing Jimmy behind bars.
I don't think you'll get busted, man. He's too much of a good man. He's a good fella.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Harder than all of us.
Yeah, yeah. Ah, but old Hollywood. It's like I still think of uh, Jonathan Banks, and I I used to have a friend. She was like 75 years old, and I met her at a function, and I was reading a James Dean biography, and she asked me what I was reading, and I said, "Oh, that biography about Jimmy Dean." And then she was like, "Oh my God, I used to date him." And I opened the book, and on the four pictures, the black and white pictures that were in this old biography, one of the pictures were my friend, and I was just reading on that very page where that picture was at, and that's how we became fast friends, because she happened to be like on that very picture that I was just reading this book at. And she told me so many great stories about old Hollywood. And I who did Before Sunrise? Ethan Hawke. He's just doing this documentary about Paul Newman. I'm really excited about that coming out. Um, my friend, her name was Aline Martel. She died a few years ago. She used to be Mrs. Spock in the original Star Trek series. And she told me then about her relationships with Clark Gable, and later on with Marlon Brando. And before that, James Dean. It was just so exciting to learn about, just what kind of lives they were living. And I always found this fascinating. Also coming to Hollywood, having grown up with the dubbed versions of them where they speak in German in a very dark and manly voice if it's a man. Or if it's a woman, they probably raise the voice, the pitch to an octave, like, "Oh, hello, I'm Elizabeth Taylor." And make the humans even more extreme giants of the screen and less humane. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask, as far as, what was it like, growing up in Germany, obviously being a fan of old Hollywood, and, were there, you mentioned guys like Marlon Brando and Clark Gable. Were there, what were some of the movies that, you watched growing up that kind of inspired you to want to get into Hollywood?
I'm a kid of the 80s, so it was a lot of Steven Spielberg growing up, and then later everything Jim Jarmusch, Tom Waits, Quentin Tarantino, pretty mainstream. If I find the odd art house music, a movie that I liked, it would probably be European or Korean, but Hollywood was, just the mainstream stuff people used to go and watch in the German theaters in a dubbing version in German, which is always fun.
Did you get a chance to watch Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Of course, I loved it. I bought this shirt after I saw Brad Pitt with his awesome yellow shirt. Yeah,
I was going to say that looks like Brad Pitt's shirt.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's awesome too. Yeah, no, I was a fan too. I thought that was one of the best movies that came out in 2019. It was that and The Irishman. As soon as it came out and released, I bought it, and I rewatched it at least every few months.
I still haven't watched The Irishman. Is it good? It's kind of depressing, isn't it?
So The Irishman, it's about 3.5 hours long. I actually have the book the movie was based off of. I Heard You Paint Houses. It's based on Frank Sheeran and his time with the Teamsters, and allegedly with killing Jimmy Hoffa. It's just it felt like it was the last hurrah with Martin Scorsese, De Niro, Pesci, who's one of my all-time favorites. I enjoyed it. The benefit of it, being on Netflix, is that you can watch it in parts. You can watch the whole thing. I selfishly watched it 3 days ago, just coincidentally, just because I wanted to. But if you haven't seen it, and if you're a fan of some of the works of Martin Scorsese, it's right up there in that wheelhouse.
I would watch it. You have good taste. I really enjoyed. I thought about what was the most inspiring movie I watched in the last 2 years, and ever since that Tarantino movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think I really enjoyed Everything Everywhere All at Once recently. By the dance directors that did the Swiss Army Knife Man first, and now that one. It's amazing. Have you watched it?
Not yet. I've heard about it. I actually had a friend recently recommended that's seen it, but it's definitely on my list.
You shouldn't know anything about it. You should just go and see it, because you think, oh, this is a Chinese immigrant movie taking place in California, and then it turns out to be so much more. It's amazing.
Yeah, and some of these, either it's an international film or some of these, foreign films. I mean, they're coming out as being some of the best, just because they're more story driven and more character driven, and also too sometimes they have more flexibility to do more things as well too. So I mean, I really get excited, just seeing some things that are kind of different from what we're usually used to seeing, like in the mainstream stuff.
What's your favorite art house movie out of the last 10, 20 years that you saw from, I don't know, Europe or something?
On there. To be honest, I mean, I don't want to, discredit some of the other ones that already have been seen.
Oh, come on, don't be coy. Just give me one. Just give me one. It's in your mind now. There'll be another one in 2 minutes. Give me one.
What's your all-time favorite?
I I can only say right now, and 2 minutes might be different. I would say La Fille sur le Pont, The Girl on the Bridge by Patrice Lecomte with Daniel Auteuil and Vanessa Paradis, the ex of Johnny Depp. It's amazing. It's black and white. They don't kiss once in the whole movie, but the movie is like as romantic as it gets, about a knife thrower and his model, and it's fantastic.
Is it available on Netflix or Amazon? Is there an easy way to access it, or what's the best way to
I
see it?
have no idea. Also, it's always different on which continent you're at. I have to look it
Yeah,
up. La Fille sur le Pont, Girl on the Bridge, Das Mädchen auf der Brücke. Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it, and then I'm gonna message you immediately and give you my feedback on it as well too. I haven't seen one recently. That's why I do want to check some of them out too, but I haven't seen one recently, and that's what I'm saying. I'm drawing a little bit of a blank, but that one sounds like one that would be one that you come highly recommended. So I have to see it now.
Hmm. I yeah. I did a like a student film exercise like last week because I was free, and it was a dialogue scene that we shot for 2 days. The characters were pretty much written as Kimmy and Jimmy. It was super exciting to dive into these two characters and basically plan a scheme, like when they were happily together, and
Yeah.
my character being overcome with this insecurity of trying to have to prove himself and thinking nobody believes in him. And I've always felt, and I think a lot of people do feel connected to Jim when it comes to confidence, that we all struggled with it at some point. I just did a documentary about my family, like only a short, like 22 minutes long. But it was super, super exciting. Driving to my father's old hometown, to what's now Poland, and basically investigating our transgenerational trauma, like that he struggles with same things that I struggle in a different way, even having grown up entirely differently. And I'm really excited about doing more movies about family trauma, because a little bit, I mean, that's what Jimmy was struggling with his brother. He was basically set up to fail,
Yeah.
and of course he had a choice, but when do you know which road to take? So
Yeah, and it's interesting too because we find out that it's Kimmy that pushes Jimmy to essentially break bad, right? So it's like
always the
they,
women. Oh, they give us home, they take it away, we go to rubbles or become really bad mobster lawyers. Yes.
yeah, yeah. I think now, because it took me a while to see, like, because Saul is just he'll do it all, right? He's your criminal lawyer, and it was hard for me to see that initially in Better Call Saul. It's like, he can go straight and make just as much money being, defending actual clients. They're lining up at his door. But I think it was Kimmy, that final breakup, and it made sense. You saw it in him. He was just defeated, right? And that time jump was perfect because it was a perfect opportunity to get, this is where we see Saul. He's officially Saul now, not just by name.
Yeah,
So I love.
he doesn't have a home inside himself. He doesn't have a family. I mean, it's clearly he puts all his cards on Kimmy, and yeah, let's see how that ends. I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's a true underdog story, right? I mean, literally coming from the bottom. So I can't wait. I can't wait to see tonight's episode. And I know you mentioned some of the shorts that you've been currently working on. Are you able to share any of your upcoming projects where fans can, because we want to see more of you? You know, where can we see you next?
I'm shooting something for HBO Romania in September, but it's like a 4-part series about some period piece of the 1920s and 30s. So I'm excited about that because I haven't played in that period for about 12 years. It's the last time I was on a show that took place, a historical show. And next week we are filming another short, but we're trying to get funding for the feature version. And there's some good guys from Dark, from the Netflix series Dark, on it, and also Der Untergang, whatever that is in English, the movie about Hitler. And so I play the lead Kurt Tucholsky, which is awesome. So I'm excited about that. Kurt Tucholsky was this amazing writer who was also a politician, like politically active, trying to write against the Nazis. And he's very interesting. And so is his colleague Joachim Ringelnatz, who I'm a big fan of. So I'm excited to be filming that next week. And apart from that, I hope that bigger parts are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I got dual citizenship with the States. So I audition on both continents, and it's great because of COVID, a lot of things are being auditioned online now. So that makes it easier than having to fly over for just an audition, which was a terrible thing to do because of the environment. And now we're sweating in Germany and we got almost like 40 degrees outside today.
Oh man. Yeah, and also too, I mean, and
Which
obviously
is
now
above 100. Sorry, it's above 100.
it's hot. It's hot over there now too. I know this is a really it's one of the better times to visit Europe, you know, this time of the year, but it is a lot hotter. Whenever I come visit, I love coming around this time because I actually enjoy the heat. But yeah, definitely I want to also come there when it's a little bit cooler too, and also a little bit less busier than the when all the tourists are there. But I love it either way.
It was great during the pandemic. If you were daring enough to go anywhere, it's awesome. I took my camper van down to Spain. There was nobody there. I mean,
Which part? Whereabouts in Spain?
I spent like 4 months there. I went all the way down to Tarifa, to Cadiz, down to the bottom. And I loved Andalusia. I would have gone to Morocco, but they didn't allow ferries back then because of the pandemic. So I just hung out there and got a boat to the Canary Islands and back. And yeah, it was a blast. Lisbon was awesome.
Excellent, excellent. Well, then we're gonna save some for round two. Definitely once we wrap up the show, we might try to sneak you back to talk a little bit more. Post Better Call Saul, and also some of your amazing projects that you have coming your way as well too. We're definitely going to share them with the fans and love to talk about those as well. And I want to be respectful for your time. I know it's a little bit later in Berlin, but I can't thank you enough. You know, just being a fan, obviously, of your character and this show. I can't thank you enough for making the time to join us today, and can't wait to share with the fans.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on MovieJunk. Thank you, Zaya. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you very much, and we'll talk soon. And take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.